Chapter 1, I can actually show you what I'm talking about. Screw it. I'm going to make it up as I go here. This is entirely improv, as you can guess. So, work with me. If you would be so kind. And thank you, Dot. I appreciate it. Entirely improv. Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Again. Dodging, of course, leads to an enemy being dizzy. Nothing new there. Pretty straightforward stuff. Jump over this guy, cancel that, and we're moving on. So, from the beginning here, even from the very start of the game, spacing is key. Spacing is very important. Now, typically, I'm going to walk up to a pink box, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave about 2 enemy spaces, 2 enemy bodies worth of space between myself and that box. And the reason is because if I don't, the Bianchi that jumps into play will actually roll to my left. So you'll notice that I typically stop right in front of it. But what I'm going to show you is the worst case scenario, and this is usually a reset. I would never actually play on this, but watch what happens if I move too close to the box. He rolls to the left. So I'll place myself right about here, right about at this point. That point, that Bianchi won't roll to your left, and you have control over him. That's important. It's simple, but it does count. It does make up time. Now, one of the things that Uyama mentioned during the run quickly as well, how enemy attacks work in this game. So say I want to try to get an enemy to hit me, right? Let's say I'm going to walk up to him and crouch immediately. Okay, so he hit low. And I would know that he would hit low because he didn't attack right away. Let's see if we can get an enemy to attack right away after crouching. Like that. There was virtually no pausing. It was so fast you didn't even see the skull come out. That's the way you get an enemy to attack you. You force him to attack you first. Like, you don't have to wait for him to finish the entire why I oughta animation. It goes right through it. And that's important. So let's see if we can get him to attack low. So that's another high attack. So I crouch immediately just to prepare for it immediately. It's part of the plan there. Oh, see? I can get him to attack right away. Low, you just attack high. Or dodge high, rather. Now let's say I'm not facing them and I'm dodging in the right direction. Watch what happens. Notice I'm not facing him that time. I'm looking the opposite direction, so he goes through the entire, fisticuffs animation. So face them, and make sure you're standing directly next to them. And if you're dodging in the right direction, they'll throw a punch or they'll throw a kick right away. It comes out very quickly. So once again, attack right away. I got away from the... Oh my god, he's dizzy. There you go. The timing is very different. Very, very different. Okay. So he attacks low, immediately go high, but let's move on. Okay, for kids mode, these 4 Bianchis, or excuse me, 3 Bianchis in the beginning, when you make them dizzy, they will always take 4 hits. It is always 4 punches or 4 kicks, whatever. It will always be a damage of 4. That's one good part about this. So Bianchis have inconsistent health on higher difficulties, but for this case, it will always be 4. So watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Done. We have one more Bianchi left. He'll come down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dead. There you go. That is the only consistent health aspect in this run. So it's very silly how that works out, actually. So normally what you would do when you start this off, you take down this guy. You're going to take the guy that spawns in first. You're going to run to the left, take out the guy from the tutorial. The 3rd guy will jump down and meet you after you take the 2nd guy out. You don't have to chase them. Let them come after you. Don't waste your time. So after killing those 3 Bianchis, we'll do this motion. And now, I was talking about canceling, so I can cancel on an uppercut. right? I can't cancel on a sweep, though, so check this out. I can't cancel out of it. So if you end on a sweep, you're stuck doing it. Well, you can end on an uppercut. And that takes place until you get your hands on sliding. That's very important, too. You don't want to be stuck in this animation while, you know, you're trying to move along quickly. It's kind of a bummer, more than anything. So, moving on. For this section, the reason why I jumped to the top platform, if you go to the bottom platform, what ends up happening is you have two guys jump out at you, and those two guys, if you decide to skip them, if you decide to just run past them, like, oh man, forget them, I'm going to move on, this is a speed run, you run to the next scene, what'll end up happening is that those two guys that jumped out early will be a part of that scene. So you have to run back, take them out, and then run back again and take out the two new guys. So let me show you what I mean. So say we drop down and take a hit. We run through here. These two guys spawn. So now we're going to go to the next scene and try to get away from them. Well, where are the two guys that normally pop out during the speed run? Oh, wait. They're behind me. So now I have to take these guys out. I just wasted a whole bunch of time. And then I have to wait for these two guys to pop out. I just wasted a whole bunch of time by simply not jumping to that platform. It's crazy. So. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the chat here. Anyway, so what I would do is end on an uppercut, top platform, drop once, and then jump again. So it's a fluid movement rather. That way you don't have to go 1, 2. You're not blocked by these little platforms here. You should be able to make it in one smooth shot. So fall, jump, done. Ta-da! You take these guys out, and you're good to go. What are you guys talking about? Any percent means beat the... Oh. Nah. This is Viewtiful Joe's, son. Come on now. But anyway. So, that's the beginning section. There's a lot more planning that goes into that than you might think. So, it's interesting how it works out. I'm not going to reset every time to show you how it goes and how it doesn't go. But that's essentially how we rock and roll here. So, Captain Blue. Before I do this fight, Captain Blue on Kids Mode takes 10 hits, okay? And what we're going to do, normally, if you punch him 3 times, he just teleports away from you, or he does his zoom stomp or whatever on you, whatever the case is. What you can actually do, you hit him twice, you pause, you hit him twice again, you pause, and then you hit him 3 times, because after the 3rd cycle of hits, he's going to teleport regardless. So go for 3 on that one. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. He'll teleport to your right or left, depending on which side he's on. And he'll go for an uppercut, jump to his opposite side, and then go 1, 2, 3, done. And the section does change as the difficulty gets higher, yes. So, allow me. Let's see if we can do it here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. He'll do his uppercut, 1, 2, 3. Like so. And that's the Captain Blue fight. So 10 hits. 2, 2, 3, 3. And there you go. Now we'll watch it, why not, right? Henshin! Henshin a go-go, baby. You want some? We'll come and get it. Alright. So. Slow. How slow works, we'll just go right into it. So, You hold left trigger, let's say you're playing on GameCube, left trigger or L1 for PS2. Punch an enemy, does good damage. I have a few little things I can show for slow. By the way, this is important too. So, for this beginning cutscene, you might not believe this, but kicking, I believe kicking this enemy when it's slow is actually faster than punching. When you punch this enemy, you throw him into 2 Bianchis, okay? So it goes 1, it does a little bit of slow, and then it does 2, and it also does a little bit of slow motion as well. So you actually lose time by punching this enemy in this intro cutscene. So always kick. Always kick, because it only knocks down a single box, so 1 hit instead of 2. Like so. And that's it. Can you believe that? Kicking is actually faster than punching in the intro cutscene. Moving on. For this section, you just uppercut and kick right through it like you would normally. I would grab these guys if I were you. Grab the reels, as many as you can, as soon as possible. But for kids mode, you're probably going to end up with about 40. So you don't need to grab all of them. I wouldn't concern yourself with it too much. But anyway, before you get to Joker, make sure you jump cancel. And this cutscene will activate, you skip it, and run to his left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excuse me, run to his right. Yeah. You're running from the left to the right. So, the reason I always run to his right, sometimes it's a lot more inconsistent that I've found. If you let him jump down and he is on your right, he'll typically jump away from you and over the slots. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen at all. So, make sure you're always on his right side if you can. 2 things can happen with Joker. So, that case, I got good luck. If he falls on the ground and stays there, what you want to do is slow punch him 1, 2, 3, uppercut him for the 4th, and then kick for the 5th, or follow up rather for the 5th. So it takes 5 slow punches or kicks to take Joker down. If he jumps, what'll end up happening is after you punch him 4 times, he'll go into a roll, an invincibility roll, and he will always roll to your opposite side. So what he'll do is he'll roll to your right, but as long as you're running into the slots, you will always end up on the right-hand side. So it's a little difficult to explain without actually seeing it. But the bottom line is, you usually want him to try to land. You don't want him to jump. That's the bottom line there. So 1, 2, 3 punches, uppercut, and then end with a punch or a kick or follow up. It's always 5 hits. Okay. For these slots, you're gonna get the V's and the coins, of course. And one thing I'll note about slots too. Well, this is actually very interesting. So uppercuts in this game. So, take a look at the animation for punching. 1, 2, 3. Notice the punching's actually a lot slower. 1, 2, 3. The punches don't come out at the same speed. The animation's actually a little different, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. They're just a little bit slower. What you actually can do to get around this, 1, 2, you can actually throw an uppercut in there. An uppercut has an immediate startup. So say I want to get this let's see, this burger now. The uppercut has a very fast startup. So that's what you want to aim for if you don't want to use the other secondary punches. Or if you're trying to get a coin at the last second, or you're trying to go through the animation a lot faster, stick to uppercuts. So be 1, 2. Comes out a lot faster, and you can jump cancel that too because it's an uppercut. So 1, 2 jump cancel, and there you go. You'll see me do that quite a bit actually throughout this run. But anyway, I digress. And there you go. Those are the first slots in the game. Now, this section's actually interesting. You can uppercut and sweep your way through it. I actually haven't bothered to do that. It would be a little bit faster, technically, to uppercut and sweep through. But the problem is there's so many of these knights, and it's terribly inconsistent. I believe these guys are on a global timer, meaning that as soon as the level starts, depending on what time you actually get in here, they'll either be going high or low. And because the slots are so inconsistent, I don't even bother with it. So what I typically do is I take the chandeliers. So the moment I enter this door, I just go 1, 2. You can probably uppercut and sweep there for a bit if you want, if you feel so inclined, and you can just jump right over. It's a safer route. There's no inconsistency there, and like I said, in the long run it would save about 1 or 2 seconds, and I'm not too worried about it considering all the other time to save. So, but anyway, I digress. So, this section. Bianco Billies. So the Bianco Billies in this game are the dudes with the guns and the, they fire the bullets at you, right? So there's 2 ways that this can go. You can either wait for them to fire at you, or you can force them to fire at you. I prefer forcing. So how the Bianco Billies work in this game, the moment that their guns flash pink, they'll fire at you. If you hold slow, they will fire. That's important. If you do it too quickly, though, if you're off on the timing, you might get thrown off and you might get shot or forced into a slow dodge. So, let me show you. Okay, wait for it. I'm going to let his gun flash pink. I'm going to hit slow and he'll fire immediately. Like so. Now let's say I waited for that entire animation. It's a lot slower. Wait for him to recover here and we'll try it again. Come on, buddy. So there I got him to force to fire. Obviously you want to try to time it so you're nailing it the moment that he starts spinning. So there you go. Peace out, buddy. So Bianco Billies in a nutshell, essentially. And that's what I do in Chapter 2 as well. You'll see that when that comes up, when we start speeding through it. So he's done. Now, for this next section, we're going to have to deal with 4 Bianchis. What we're going to do is we're going to get to the right of 3 of them and stay to the left of 1 of them. I'm going to take the one right, and I'm going to push him all the way over as far as I can. I'm going to dodge him, and I'm going to go into rock-on mode. Ideally, I punch him, I kick the guy to the right, or kick the guy to the left, rather, into the chandelier, because kicking is a diagonal motion in this game, and punching is horizontal or vertical, based on uppercuts or standard punching. So, I'll show you what I mean. Push him over, dodge, boom, boom, done. And the chandelier will knock out the other 2 guys. Piece of cake. And you can kick the books on the switch, and you're done. So like I said, you have one guy to the right, you push him over, boom, boom, and wait for the chandelier to fall to finish him off. If you're not all the way over to the right, the guy on the far left can sometimes survive. And if you push him too far to the right, he'll actually roll to your left. So there's a little bit of a balance there. And for the beginning of the game, yes. For the very beginning, the first chapter, there is a lot of manipulation of enemy AI. That's how it works. So, you know, it is what it is. But anyway. Actually, can I go back? I can't. Alright. So, this vine trick coming up. This vine trick's actually very interesting. This took a while to kind of break down. The verties here, there's going to be 2 verties that drop missiles, the green dudes. They're kind of a pain in the ass, to be quite honest. I have not found a way to control their patterns. I don't think there is a way. I firmly believe there isn't a way. But who knows, maybe one of you guys could prove me wrong one day. You have to deal with them. You just got to deal with them. So there's a couple ways you can approach this. You can lower the platform. That's going to be a little bit further ahead near the switch. Or you can jump under it. Jumping under it is faster. Real talk. So jumping under it is much faster. And no, this is on the GameCube. So what we're going to do is we're going to pray that we get good luck. And if we don't, we're going to make up for it. I can show you guys a couple tricks with slow dodging here. So we're going to jump, like so. Okay, let me pause for a second here. Now, that's ideal. That's not bad. A couple things about hitting the switch, though. If you hit that, or lever rather, if you hit that lever with the tip of your foot, and I mean you're as far to the left as possible, and you fall directly down, the vines are actually going to knock you to the right. If you're directly next to the lever and you hit it, you're also going to, you're going to get hit directly to the right. So you got to make sure you're not at either extreme when you're hitting that lever. It's important. It sounds silly, but if you get hit in the first chapter, you lose 3 seconds. Because it takes time for Joe to get back up, and you got to make up the ground that you just lost. So, what should end up happening here, because of my placement, I should end up going to the left. Like so. Now let's say I hit the extreme here. So hang on. This would be about the extreme point. Not quite, just a little bit more over. It's a little difficult, sorry. And you get a hit to the right. So that extreme portion right there, if you're hitting them with the very tip, if you're at the very tip, try to like push your character over to the right just a little bit. You want to try to end up in this particular area. Let's see what happens if you're too close. Let's get some health here. You get knocked to the right. So it all counts. So placement matters. That is very important. Spacing is very important there. Trust, and all this crap that I'm going over is all this junk I had to learn the hard way. It just took so long to decipher it, but eventually it's like, it comes together. I should get knocked to the right. Like so. I stand here, I get knocked to the right. If I stand here, I should get knocked to the left. There you go. And there you go. Let's try something fun here. Fun fact. When you slow dodge in this game, you lose a chunk of VFX, of course. Now, the thing about slow dodging, though, is that you also gain about 3 seconds of invulnerability. You gain about 3 1/10 seconds of invulnerability. If you take a hit, it's about 3 2/10 of a second. Give or take. That small difference is so important, for especially for Chapter 4, which we might get to, we might not get to, I don't know, we'll see. But check this out. Let's see if I can get him to hit me here. I don't want to jump in there yet. Hang on a minute. Jump. And we'll just stand in the vines. Not a big deal. And we'll just do it again. There you go. Invincibility. So what you'll see me do sometimes is I'll take a hit and I'll just run. And I'll hit the switch. Because I can. So, if the verties start attacking me, I'll just, alright, screw it. I'll go for the slow dodge, run right through, and then just hit the switch. It's not ideal, but you can still make it through. So, all of that's pretty important too, but I digress. Let's move on here. I can show you a bit more of an extreme case a little later on. So, that's actually very funny what you can do with slow dodging in this game. Okay, let's not do that. Alright, let's get some health here. So, excuse me. The chandeliers. How the chandeliers work, what you're going to want to do is you can either, there's a couple ways you can do this. The original record holder for this game, what he would actually do is he would jump on top of the chandelier, and the moment the enemies spawn, if you're on top of the chandelier, they would actually jump up immediately. So you could punch, and what would actually happen is they die immediately because they jump up so quickly and the chandelier falls so quickly they die. The issue I had with doing that were the verties. The verties add a very random aspect to this, so I kind of try to avoid that when I can. So what I typically do instead, I'll jump, kick, slow, take him out. Jump, kick, slow. Jump, kick, slow. And of course, you want to try to time it where you're hitting slow as the chandelier runs into the Bianchi Prima. Yeah, Bianchi Prima. There we go. So, and then for this guy, what you can do is, see like that, if you jump on the chandelier, they jump up immediately after you. So, nothing to it. Let's get some health here. Cute. Okay. Alright. For this section, you're going to want to, obviously, kick and sweep, or I'm sorry, punch and sweep, rather. So go through here. At the last second, you pick up some reels and do a double jump. I would personally would not want to pick this up as you're getting caught in the, you know, motion for kicking and sweeping. You don't want to get caught by this cutscene. So, alright. For this fight, there are two ways to do this fight. Actually, there's multiple ways to do this fight. There's a very aggressive strategy, which I typically use. There's also a safer strategy, but it's just as effective. But what we're going to do is we're going to shoot 2 bullets into the chopper, ideally. We're going to follow up with 5 punches, and then we're going to follow up with a single bullet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you both methods. So I'm going to show you the first one here, and I'm going to kill myself, and then we'll redo it. And I'll give you guys an idea of what you can actually do to this fight. So let's start out with the aggressive one.
Take 5.
Before the chopper starts to fire, you have to hit him at the last second. If you hit slow too early, the bullets will actually stay further back on the chopper. Like, you'll actually get hit with multiple bullets at the same time, and you'll probably get forced into a slow dodge. So timing counts here. So let's start off here. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Take 5.
After the 5th punch, get the hell away from the chopper. If you're standing on that chopper, what'll end up happening sometimes is he'll just kind of freak out. There's blah, blah, blah. That's not good. If he freaks out, you're actually going to add another cycle of him sweeping back and forth. You don't want to be doing that. So the moment you land that 5th punch, get the hell off of it. Now, because I got off of it, he'll actually go to the left, he'll go to the right, and then he'll shoot bullets at me again, and one more bullet will take him down. So you jump up, kick, and finish him. But we're not going to do that. We're going to wait for him to kill me here. Hopefully you're not hitting this point in the fight if this happens. Oh man, I'm a scrub. So, let's start from the beginning. That's the first method. That method is very aggressive and requires strict timing. So, let's try the old method. Now, the old method is actually what's on my current SDA run. It's a lot slower, but it works. So, you can't complain about it. The strategy that I use now is actually the current task strategy. So, shoutouts to BT_Yamato for it. It's pretty sweet. But what you can do to fight this chopper in the beginning, if you're having difficulty with getting that down, what we're going to do is we're going to run to the right. And we're going to stay under his bullet sweep. So take a look. 1. And typically, if you have your position right, I was a little off there. I haven't done it in a while. Excuse me. If you have your positioning correctly, what you can do is you can wait for him to shoot, and you have all the time in the world for the bullets to come down. So what you can do is you can kick one for a diagonal hit, and then punch another one, and you can get 2 hits on him. It's a lot slower, and you have to wait for the bullets to come down, but it's just as effective. I do apologize for screwing that up, but, you know. And the thing is, too, even if you only land 1 bullet, what you can do is you can actually do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can still do 5 punches on him. So this enemy has the same health regardless, so if you hit him with 3 bullets and 5 punches, it doesn't matter what the order is, you'll still take him down. So, okay, I messed up the first bullet. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to try to knock him out the second time. So, 1, 2. The recovery. And that's how you can do the chopper. It's up to you. It's whatever works for you. So there's aggressive and then there's safe. And like I said, the order doesn't matter, as you just saw. You can still take him down very quickly. If you make a mistake, don't panic. So, for the aggressive strategy, you just tap A. That's it. Just do a quick tap, and you're good to go. So, at this point in the run, you should have about 7,200 rather, excuse me. Let's hit the store. For this run, for this section rather, you're going to need boomerangs, 1 set, and you're going to need sliding. Let's just go through this right now. Air Joe is useless. Don't waste your time. Red Hot Kick and Mach 1, or Mach 2 rather, you're going to wait until about Chapter 5 to get those, typically. You can feel free to pick up Red Hot Kick in Chapter 4. I think it's a waste of time, but we'll get there when we get there. Viewtiful Forever and Ukemi, you're not going to use them during this run. Viewtiful Forever is a waste of time, because if you get caught zooming in, he does his little pose, you're stuck there. So you can't move. And Ukemi is just a waste of money. You're not going to get enough money in time. So, unless you decide to buy it by the end of the game, but really, you have 10 HP, so you shouldn't be buying it in the first place. And then the turbocharger you're going to get at around 3-1 or 3-2, but again, we'll get there when we get there. And any of this other stuff you theoretically shouldn't need. You should have all the health you need for this run. I would not recommend buying anything else. Moving on. But again, for now, sliding and a single set of boomerangs will do you good.